Lone Star Beer, the self-proclaimed national beer of Texas. In this video, we're going to talk about its history, and we're going to try it.
Lone Star, the big beer from the big country.
Take a sixer of old Milwaukee or Lone Star, nothing snooty.
30 cases of the national beer of Texas.
Lone Star!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Nate here from Tree House Brewing Company, and today we're taking a deep dive into the deep heart of Texas and tracing the history of this iconic lager. Now, this story began like many stories on the channel way back in the 1880s. Imagine San Antonio. It's booming. Cattle, railroads, new America, opportunity everywhere. So now the year is 1883, and a group of enterprising local businessmen with financial backing from the very own Adolphus Busch of Anheuser-Busch fame decided that Texas needed a proper industrial-scale brewery of its own. And so they built one, and it looked like it was straight out of Europe. This was literally a castle of a brewery on Jones Avenue in San Antonio. Adolphus sent German-trained brewmasters south to help get things rolling, and the brewery quickly became a symbol of pride and progress. This was the first large mechanized brewery in the entire state of Texas, and it was a total game changer. With Busch's investment in new technology, they could brew cleaner, faster, and on a scale that the big state of Texas had never seen before. Now, the beer itself was a crisp German-style lager brewed with high-quality malt and San Antonio's famously clean water. And before long, it became the city's drink of choice. So by the early 1900s, the big Lone Star Brewery was producing tens of thousands of barrels per year. Texans finally had a beer that they could call their own, and one that was proudly brewed right in the heart of the city of San Antonio. All right, so you guys watching know how this story goes. It's amazing how many parallels there are, but every brewery that began pre-1900 was affected by Prohibition, and Lone Star was no different. By 1918, Prohibition was in full force, and Texas had already gone dry. The brewery had to shut down, like many others, and that beautiful, grand, castle-like complex on Jones Avenue was repurposed to brew everything but beer. I actually find this part of the story really fascinating. All these breweries that had to kind of change what they were doing during Prohibition all did something slightly different to try to survive. Necessity is the mother of invention, and Lone Star actually had a cotton warehouse, they were a storage facility, they were an ice plant, they were doing whatever they could to make it work. Now, that could have been the end of the Lone Star story, but Texas doesn't give up that easily. So after repeal, this beer came roaring back. And in 1940, a new company acquired the rights to the old Lone Star name and fired up a brand new operation in San Antonio, launching what would become the modern Lone Star Brewing Company. It was a fresh start. They had new recipes, fresh modernized equipment, and by the 1950s, Lone Star beer was filling coolers across the state again. This crisp, easy drinking beer was proudly Texan. Their slogan, the national beer of Texas. It's a ballsy one, but no one did argue and no one has argued to date, I guess until now. Shots fired, Shiner Bock. Now, by the mid-1960s, Lone Star was selling over 1 million barrels of beer a year, a truly Texas-sized number. The Lone Star marketing team leaned into all things Texas. They were talking cowboys, oil rigs, country music, and wide-open, freewheeling skies. And they had one of the cleverest gimmicks in beer history: puzzle caps. Each cap hid a secret puzzle, little picture riddles that Texans could collect and trade answers for at the bar or in the backyard. Lone Star really nailed the culture part. From honky-tonks to the outlaw country wave, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and beyond, Lone Star was the beer they had in their hands. So like a lot of these regional legacy brands, some have remained in the family and some have moved on through many different hands. In the case of Lone Star, as far as we could tell, it's moved through the hands of Olympia, G. Heelman, Stroh, eventually the Pabst Brewing Company, which is where they reside today here in 2025. It's owned by Pabst, but brewed by Anheuser-Busch, and previously by the Coors Brewing Company. So long story short, the Lone Star brand has passed around hands many different times, but the heart of this brand has stayed pure to Texas. Now this story comes full circle. Imagine that original castle brewery that we showed and described from the 1880s. It still stands today. It houses the San Antonio Museum of Art. That's pretty cool. You can walk through the halls where Texas beer history began, and then afterward you can even grab a cold one. Listen, I know 70% of people watching don't subscribe. If you enjoy this video, hit that subscribe button. It's a huge help to us. Now, I do have a question for you on that note, which is that my general impression of the history of Lone Star is that it used to be proudly San Antonio brewed. It used to have a legacy to it, but it's been passed around so many times that it doesn't have that same type of family heritage that a beer like Shiner Bock has. I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. Leave your thoughts in the comments, but that's the general impression that I got while researching this video. So, how does Lone Star stack up? How does it taste? We're about to find out. As I so often do, I'll quickly comment on the label, the appearance. I do like the red and white and gold kind of thing. Again, this is an aesthetic that's very ubiquitous in macro lager. Strangely, you don't often see a bottle that has a laminate label on it. A lot of times you'll see a paper label, and frankly, I don't really like it. I kind of look for that paper. But all things considered, I think the design's quite nice, quite appealing. Got the Lone Star on there. You got, of course, the tagline that it's the national beer of Texas. What do you guys think? It's up to you guys to decide in the comments. Not too much else about the beer. Lone Star Brewing Company, Houston, Texas. 4.6% alcohol. We do have a Best Buy date of January of 26. I would assume they give you a 6-month Best Buy. It's currently October of 2025, so I would think that this beer is about halfway through its life. If I had to guess, we got it at about 3 months old. Michael, how did you pick this beer up? What type of condition? Warm. Warm on the floor? All right, we got this beer warm on the floor here, central to us in Massachusetts, which, again, I like to provide a little bit of context about the condition of the beer before we try it, because if it's not premium, that could affect the outcome. Love the twist top, which was allegedly invented by Labatt's, by the way. Wink, wink, future video. Brilliant pour in the glass. Brilliant. Look at that. Oh, baby, that looks refreshing. Holy cow. I can picture enjoying that deep in the heart of Texas. Effervescent, clearly filtered, bright, beautiful, strong head retention, which is nice. I'm assuming it's an American adjunct corn lager. Again, I don't know. For the purpose of the tasting portion of the video, I don't typically look at the recipes nor the makeup of the beer. We just research the history of the brewery itself. It's beautiful. Smells crisp and clean. A little bit of noble hop character. A little bit of apple character on the nose, a little bit of fruitiness, but otherwise clean fermentation. Nice, simple, beautiful head retention. A+ on the appearance. Kind of sweet, kind of like a honeyed malt character, a little bit of sweet corn, a little bit of like noble hop. Kind of reminds me a bit of like kind of Bud Light, Budweiser. Has that like, it's not ultra crisp. It has a fair amount of sweetness to it, but it's ultra clean, ultra kind of macro, if that makes sense. Some of these other regional beers we've tasted had like a little bit of interesting malt character or hop character or sweetness. This is just like, this is not a negative attribute, but it's just like kind of bland. It's kind of simple Jane. It's sweeter than I expected and not as crisp as I would hope for, but it's very good, and I would assume the cooler it is and the hotter the Texas sun, the better this beer is going to taste. I'm drinking Shiner Bock 100 times out of 100 over Lone Star.
You sure about that?
Shiner Bock has a lot more character and originality to it. This, if I were blindfolded, and frankly most Lone Star drinkers, I bet if you were blindfolded and offered a macro lager in the same ABV category as this one, they'd be really, 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 really difficult to distinguish. This beer has no distinguishing characteristics to me at all. It tastes like an American adjunct light lager. It's very well made. It's very crisp. It's very easy drinking, but it does not stand out from other beers in the same category to me in any meaningful way. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Again, I don't know this beer and how Texans relate to it. I enjoyed it. Good on a hot, crisp summer day. Not a super standout for me. Let me know what you think. As always, thanks for watching. There's way more content where this came from. Hit that like button, leave your thoughts down below. See you next time.